Welcome to Tilt Astrology. Today I'm going to take a look at the astrology roadmap for the UK Labour government, headed by Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and this is requested a while ago by a viewer. So I'll be using the traditional teachings of William Ramsay to analyse the beginning chart, and I've set the beginning chart to when King Charles invited Keir Starmer to form a government at Buckingham Palace at around midday on the 5th of July 2024. So this chart is going to provide the overarching themes for the entire government term, and let's break it down and see what the astrology has in store for the UK. So the foundational theme is determined by the Lord of the Year and the first house and those interactions with Mercury. So because the first house is Virgo, the Lord of the Year is Mercury. So Virgo is in a double-bodied, mutable sign, and Mercury indicates merchants, tradesmen, advisors, and intellectual pursuits. Mercury is ruling the 10th house, and the 10th house signifies the government and law and order in general. And this highlights the government's primary focus, which is going to be around commerce and business and expert advice. So the ascendant is going to represent the general condition of the UK, and the primary concern here is that K2, or the tail of the dragon, or the south node, has multiple names, is in the first house, and K2 is a malefic in mundane astrology in general, and this can indicate disasters, calamities, and disruptive events. It can also indicate misfortunes, crosses, losses, and all manners of mischief to the people. And it can also represent the poor and isolated. And when K2 is in Virgo, it can also suggest shame, hatred, and disgrace falling on nobles, the elite, and great men, and potential trouble with religion and faith, although that was a greater concern when William Ramsay was alive than it is today. So in essence, the government is going to be driven by Mercury, but because the ruler is sitting in Gemini as well, it's going to indicate a highly changeable and uncertain environment, just because it's Gemini and Virgo with Mercury. And also the threat of internal problems and unforeseen calamities from K2. So if we look at the government and the people, the ruler is indicated by the sun, the people are indicated by the moon. So the sun is where it should be, it's in the 10th house, so it doesn't mind being in Gemini. And as I've talked about, it's ruled by Mercury. Mercury is sitting in the house of friendly international alliances, income, and gain. And generally, the sun being here would indicate glory and renown, but it's within 1 degree of the royal star Sirius. And while Sirius can indicate fame, leadership, and wealth, it also carries a risk of fires and drought and dangers through impetuous acts. So the moon is in the 10th house as well. William Ramsay generally says that this is an indication of potential honour and prosperity for the people. So that indicates the government's intent is to be beneficial. However, the moon is a new moon. I think it's a new moon within 1 day of the 5th of July. And it's combust the sun. So it's completely invisible. So this is indicating actually that the ruler or the government probably completely overwhelms the people. So it denies them the full benefits of the 10th house. So this shows a government probably offering empty platitudes. So it's kind of like, we're here to help you, but no significant change or benefit materializes. And that's going to lead to potential frustration with people in general. There is a mutual reception between the moon and Mercury. So the moon is in Gemini, Mercury's in Cancer, so they're in each other's sign. So this is kind of indicating there's a little bit of support here. So, Mercury's going to attempt to bring in some sort of benefit, but again, moon is neutral to Mercury. Mercury's not a fan of the moon. And Mercury is in Cancer, so it's a water sign. It's a tidal sign. I always describe it as a tidal sign because the moon rules it, right? So things come in, things go out. So it's very hot and cold. So there's a desire to offer support, but maybe not. So we also have Venus indicating material wealth and comfort. It also indicates women, joy, gladness, prosperity. As William Ramsay says, prosperity occasioned by and from the king and superiors. But Venus does not like the sun or the moon. And it kind of again indicates that there's this mixed bag. So Venus rules Libra, which is the second house, which is the nation's wealth. And this house is empty. So it really suggests the focus isn't particularly on the domestic economy. And the nation's financial stability may not be that great. Again, the government's trying to do its best, trying to right the ship, not doing a great job. So if we go and look at the darker houses, so if we look at private enemies and financial losses, this is the 12th house. So the 12th house rules financial losses, foreign debt, private enemies. It's Leo, so it's ruled by the sun. So this is where it gets interesting because the UK could be considered to have two rulers. So it has the government, but it also has the king. There's not a lot of emphasis here, but I'm thinking it maybe suggests, because this is private enemies, that maybe behind the scenes there's a disagreement between the king and the government. So you won't hear about it, but, in private discussions, they disagree about several things. So if we go and look at open enemies, this is indicated by the 7th house, which has Rahu sitting in Pisces. So Rahu can be quite disruptive and indicates that the enemies of the people are going to be strong. So the 7th house is typically associated with agreements of all sorts. Also think about things like tourism and how businesses and people interact. So it could be showing a setback to living standards, or there's a challenge to the international position of the country in some way. This is because Jupiter is sitting in the 9th house, which is foreign missions, ruling the 7th house. The open enemies of the people may be internal, again, because Jupiter represents the elite and the noble. There's potentially an element of self-interest and foreign dealings to the detriment of the people. So this might indicate that there's just a problem that everyone has at the moment, which prices keep going up. Someone is making a lot of money. It's certainly not the average person. And as the 9th house can indicate legal proceedings and the law, it might also indicate that the law is being used to the advantage of the wealthy and elite. So the 9th house can indicate secret enemies of the ruler. So as we talked about, this is Jupiter, which kind of connects up this theme that the wealthy and elite are secret enemies of the government itself. The only positive on this is Jupiter does not enjoy being in Taurus. Venus dislikes the sun and the moon, and she's not comfortable here, and Jupiter dislikes Venus. So this may indicate that, attempts are made, but they don't go that well. The 11th house also indicates friendly international relations for income gains and future plans. So the ninth house is foreign missions, but that can be to any country, friendly or not. I think this is setting up for an indication of overseas deals and agreements, but they're very tough to negotiate, and I think they're tough to get through to being signed and not particularly successful. If we go down to the sixth house, which is representing day-to-day life, but also debt, Saturn is in the sixth house. It's in Aquarius, so it's in its own sign. The sixth house is public health, debt, labour relationships. Generally, this would be good, but it's retrograde and it's overcome by all the other planets. A strong Saturn would indicate health and good management of debt, but it's in retrograde, so this makes Saturn weak and the area of concern weak as well. So this is maybe indicating problems with public and private debt, and there's just no forward momentum in those particular areas. It could also indicate, because there's this trine up to the government, that there's a government attempt to overcome and manage public debt and address labour concerns, but it's just ineffective. It's not great. I mean, it's not particularly argumentative, like it's not confrontational, but it's trouble, it's anxiety, nothing's going particularly well. And there's also a light sextile up to the 8th house. So Saturn's not doing particularly well here. People who work hard aren't doing well here. General labour's not doing well here. But it just kind of limps along because there's not that square. There's not a direct confrontation. Well, it doesn't look to be. But nothing really comes of it. So the final thing that gives me the biggest pause and concern is that Mars is sitting in the 8th house. So the 8th house is a grief-producing house anyway. Mars is a malefic in its own sign, cardinal fire sign in Aries. The 8th house is a real problem because sometimes it can go the other way and indicate that there's a sudden influx of unexpected, money. You get money from somewhere that wasn't to be expected, and it's a substantial amount. But generally, it tends to be accidents, epidemics, and catastrophe. There might be a problem here. Mars, as I've already said, indicates the military and the police, and this might indicate there's something significant going to come down the pipeline during this term. That's a real challenging event. And it might also indicate, the chart might also indicate that there's elements in place for the system to falter a little bit, but it doesn't really happen until one of the charts for the year maybe invokes those particular events. So in conclusion, I think the Keir Starmer government is going to begin its term with a real emphasis on commerce and international dealings, which it did. And that's going to define the narrative for the entire length of the government. But the agenda is going to be constantly challenged by domestic division and unforeseen disruptions. The government's going to hold significant authority and overshadow the voice of the people while attempting to improve trade and general condition. I think it's one of those things like, the government keeps going, don't worry about it, we know what's good for you, but the people are going, no, you don't understand what we're asking. So, it's going to be this odd thing of people being told what to do by a government that's not really getting to the crux of the problem. There's going to be an ongoing strain of public debt and a constant threat of potentially, there's something as I've already talked about, I'm not quite sure what this is, but I think it's indicating there could be a significant conflict of some sort or a disaster of some sort. And that again is gonna really cause the government problems. So overall, I think the picture is one of a very tough battle to bring in benefits and stability, and success is probably highly variable and kind of uncertain. So that wraps up my look at the general conditions for the term of the UK Labour government. I'm hopefully going to get to the 2026 and 2027 equinox videos slightly quicker this time. And if you'd like to see those videos, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And thanks for watching.